Welcome to Let's Grow Buffalo.
Today we're going to show you how to start onions from seed.
Alright, so onions are a part of the allium family. So that's the same family as leeks, shallots, garlic, chives, and even ornamental flowering alliums you might see around the yard.
Yeah, so if you want to grow some onions, I think there's some things you want to think about before you even buy your seeds. What kind of onions do you like? Do you like a sweet onion, something mild? Or do you like something a little bit stronger and spicier? Do you want red onions, white onions, yellow onions, or green onions, bunching onions, something like that?
Yeah, are you planning on putting this into a salsa? Do you just want it to throw onto your sandwiches here and there? And yeah, there's a lot of different varieties, so you can find just about anything.
Yeah, and so once you know what you like, what kind of things you want to eat, you also have to think about what you're going to be capable of growing in your area. So for us, here we have long days, being so far from the equator, that we need to buy what they call a long day variety of onion seed, so that the bulb is triggered to grow into a larger size so that it's an onion worth, spending your time and money on. But in other areas, you might want to get like an intermediate onion or a short day onion, because you're not going to get the long days that we get up here in the north, or that you would get equidistant from the equator.
Yeah, essentially the further south you move, you are more likely to want a short day onion. That's just the variety that grows best there. You can grow them in a northern climate too, but yeah, you just won't get the results and the type of onion that you're really looking for. All right, so we're going to zoom in and take a closer look at starting these seeds. First off, I wanted to show you guys some onions I started a week or two, well, yeah, it's probably a couple weeks ago at this point. I started them in a strawberry container like this. I had a few different varieties I was trying to grow. So actually on half of it over here was a set of old seeds that must not have been stored very well, because it only looks like one might be germinating in there. All of the other seeds on this side, they look like they're doing great, and almost all of them germinated. So onions are kind of unique the way that they grow. Typically it looks kind of like a blade of grass starts poking its way out of the dirt, and then you start to notice kind of like a little hoop, like a circular blade of grass kind of look to it. That's actually just the tip of the onion plant getting stuck in the dirt. It's not going to harm it at all, but you can kind of see right here this little black seed. That's actually where the onion plant has been growing from, and it kind of pushed it up above the surface, and it's just hanging on. So once that breaks through, then it'll go from looking like a hoop like this to eventually straightening out all the way. All right, so over here I'm going to start planting some onions. I have this seed starting mix. I pre-moistened it to make it easier to work with. Plus, if you pre-moisten it, then you don't have to worry about splashing a bunch of water in here and just having the seed get washed away. So as I'm packing this container up, Justin's going to tell you a little bit more about the specific seed.
So the days to maturity for this seed is supposed to be 112 days. It's an open pollinated, yellow skinned storage onion variety. Instructions for growing are to sow indoors 6 weeks before transplant date, and to plant them 1/4 inch deep, keep them moist, and expect germination within 7 to 10 days.
Great. So when I'm planting these in here, I want to make sure that I'm packing them down a little bit. You don't want to push down so hard that it starts squishing out of the holes that are cut in the bottom. But I personally like to fill mine about 80% of the way. So that way, what I can do here in a minute is just plop the onion seeds down on top, and then cover it with a final layer of soil afterwards. Alright, so that looks pretty good there. Just going to dry my hands off a little bit on the towel. You really don't want to get these seeds wet if you're going to keep them in the packet. So I'm just going to gently open from the top here. You want to be really careful. Typically if you start pouring it out like this, it's going to get to this sticky part of the wrapper and just get stuck there. So I typically try and tilt it sideways or flip it upside down, and then just really gently get some into my hands here. The nice thing about onions is you can pack a lot of them in, so I don't have to do just one per cell. We'll see, maybe that'll be good. And the other thing too is if you have, let's say, a 50% germination rate, and you take 2 of these and plant it into a single cell, if you have one seed per cell, then there's a chance that half of the things that you plant aren't even going to germinate. They're not even going to grow. So yeah, if you want to plant 2 or 3 into each of these cells, 3, 4, 5, it's no big deal. Not with every plant, but those in the allium family, it kind of works out well that way. And I'm not going to put these back into the container either, just because my hands may be a little wet still. So okay, so that's good there. Something else to think about with allium based plants is that they actually work really good as a companion plant in the garden, which means that if you grow them with a different type of plant, they can be beneficial for one reason or another. Alliums specifically give off a little bit of an odor that helps mask some other smells. So if you have something like lettuce or strawberries, broccoli, kale, those sorts of things have different insects that'll just destroy them. But if you have something like this that kind of helps mask the smell, then you're in good shape. You're potentially going to be saving plants just by planting a few of these nearby. One consideration is that you don't want to plant them with beans and peas. That's the only thing that it can actually hinder the development of those plants. All right, so from here, I'm basically just going to keep these moist. I'm going to put them into a container so I can have a little bit of humidity, like a humidity dome, to help retain some of the moisture. I'm going to spritz it every couple days if it feels like it needs it. It doesn't need direct sunlight. It doesn't necessarily need a fan right now. And I'm just going to wait until these bad boys start popping above the surface. So yeah, that's it for today. So don't forget, gardening is a practice. Let's grow together, and let's grow buffalo.